The following is a production of Fenix Media. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of the company or its advertisers and may contain language that's unsuitable for younger listeners.
Welcome to the Dogish podcast, the only podcast dedicated to dog parents and the topics, events, and personalities impacting their lives. My name is Sylvia West, pet expert and certified professional dog trainer at Dog Up in This Bitch. And with me today, as always, is my fabulous co-host, Jasen Arias, co-founder of Forever USA. Jasen, how are you today?
What's up? I'm good. I am good. Like this is an afternoon recording instead of bright and early, so I'm drinking just water instead of lots of coffee. Yeah.
Instead of like pumping the caffeine.
Yeah.
So today...
And I'm super amped up. Amped up after like everything that we got to talk about with the girls. Like
yes.
It was so good.
Such a good episode. Today we actually have Sarah and Marisa of Puppy Gang Fresh Foods on with us to talk all things dog nutrition. I was extremely educated and motivated. I don't know about you, Jasen.
Yeah, totally. The actionable stuff that we can just put into play. And I think this is the first time that the podcast was over and I didn't realize it was going to be like over.
Yeah, I had to put the kibosh on it. I felt terrible.
I was still ready to go.
I didn't want to. But anyways, let's get into it so you guys can feel the burn like we did. We don't want to be left out.
Okay. Awesome. Well, welcome to the show, guys. We have Sarah
ladies,
and it's such an open term. Like cut me some slack here. So I'm outnumbered 3-1 today.
It's okay. We won't fault you for it. Thanks for having us.
We're so excited.
We're so excited. Oh my goodness. So before we jumped on this podcast, Jasen, the girls and I had a little, we had like a phone, like a prior phone meet, just to see if it would be a good fit for all of us. We ended up gushing for like an hour, but two ladies are, if you think I'm a pet nutrition nerd for any of my clients who are listening, like these ladies have it down. So I'm really excited to just like dive deep into this. So first, tell us a little bit about your company, Puppy Gang Fresh Foods.
Yeah, thanks so much. So we have 4 recipes that we've developed with a holistic veterinarian, and they use all human grade ingredients. So we only use whole proteins, fresh fruits and vegetables, and organic supplements in our recipes. All our meats are locally sourced. We also really focus on sustainability as a company. So we've shifted towards packaging that is pre-labeled and reusable to make our environmental footprint as well more improved.
Excellent. And you're saying locally sourced. So just for our listeners, where are you guys located out of right now?
We are based in Toronto in Canada, where it's very cold right now. And we service what we call the Greater Toronto area.
Okay, now correct me if I'm wrong, but Marisa, that is not a Canadian accent you're sporting there.
Jeez, I thought I was the only one picking up on that.
I am Australian, and I have been living in Canada for a bit over 3 years. And I've been living overseas in a whole bunch of different places for about 11 years. So Canada was last pit stop, and Marisa and I actually reconnected. We met living in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And we became really great friends in Hong Kong, and Marisa moved back to Canada and I was already there. And so we reconnected, and Marisa will tell you the story about how we started Puppy Gang Fresh Foods, but we decided that together we really wanted to change how people feed their dogs and really make an impact to the industry. So we started Puppy Gang Fresh Foods in May of 2019. So. Yeah, now, loads of fun.
When you ladies met in Hong Kong, were you drawn together by your love of dogs, or how was that a part of the friendship?
Our big at the time, and neither of us were dog moms at that time, but we actually had a real passion for health and fitness and nutrition. Okay. And so we actually got connected based on that. And obviously that kind of ties over into our current business. We've just transformed that passion into health and nutrition for dogs as opposed to humans.
Wow. So this is all like this is like a new venture for you guys. I mean, not just recently, but just the whole genre of getting into dog foods and the dog community and all of that.
Yeah, I think the really interesting thing about it is we've really found in the industry a lot of people are unaware of these issues with commercial foods. And I know, we can really resonate with that. When I first adopted my dogs in Hong Kong, as a first-time dog owner, I didn't know anything else other than feeding my dogs kibble, because we grew up with a family dog, we fed kibble, and it was so deeply ingrained in us, and that's what your vets tend to recommend is a kibble. And it's really interesting that we've really recognized as humans that eating processed food every day is not good for us, right? But for whatever reason, that connection people haven't yet made for their dogs, or they're starting to. It's a growing shift, but myself included, I relied on my vet's advice when I first adopted my dogs.
Yeah,
I'm totally in the dark about all of this. I could probably ask questions all day on this. I have everything from like stories that I've heard from years ago that where dogs were getting sick, and then there was the recent one no meat diets, right? Yeah. There's like all of these different things. So I'm really anxious to get into all of this, and I'm trying not to jump the gun too much on any of it.
Well, we geek out on this, Jason.
This is
for you.
I did tell them, Jason, I was like, Jason gets very excited about things he doesn't know, and he's going to have a million questions. Yeah. Just come for the ride. We're very excited. So we're going to dive really deep into this. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to answer one of Jason's burn-in, yearn-in questions right after this break.
I spend a lot of time in the backyard, and I'm the center of attention at summer barbecues. In '96, I made some of the tastiest s'mores. And in '09, it was me, your backyard fire pit, that accidentally started a wildfire when a summer breeze carried one of my embers into some dry brush.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com, brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Hey everyone, let's all stop what we're doing and take a moment. You see, every moment can be kind of special. But they can be loud moments, goofy moments, dorky moments, it doesn't matter. Because every time dads like us take a moment like that to spend with our kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's take a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school, so I'm trying to break that barrier. My daughter Brooklyn was also a motivation for me to go back to school. Every day after work, went straight to school, and it paid off.
At age 26, Kareem finished his high school diploma.
I could not have done it alone. I see the future is really bright for me.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
What if I told you that a tornado was going to happen tomorrow, right where you live? That it would touch down at exactly 3:17 p.m., and I told you the exact path it would take. You would, of course, prepare. You would talk with your loved ones, and you'd make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a tornado will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you have a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Fenix Media. Listen live and explore more great shows at phoenixmedia.us.
And we're back. Jason,
okay,
hit us with one of your questions.
I'm dying. I'm itching. I'm jumping in my like I want to know so much about the dog food industry because as just as a dog dad, like I've grown up with dogs, and like you were saying, it's just been it's trained into us that, you know, you go and you buy this giant bag of dog food and that's what they eat. And you hear things that you should try this or try that. But most of the time, like I've never even thought about switching foods until there's like a health issue, like they get older and they can't eat it, or they get picky or whatever it is. But like maybe tell me some of the main things, because there has to be grades, right? Because there's like the cheap stuff that you can go at any aisle store and you can get for like $25 for what seems like 100 pounds of food. And then it kind of goes up from there to human grade food. Okay, well, let's not say human grade food, table scraps. That is literally the stuff that we're eating, that's supposed to be equally as bad, if not worse for them, right? So I'm confused at both ends, and there's got to be a happy medium somewhere.
Yeah, it is confusing for a lot of dog owners because there's not a lot of information out there aside from the commercial pet food brands. And so we know that there is about 96% of people still feeding their dogs kibble.
Okay, so can you define what kibble means? I'm just going to ask like very layman terms, because is that any dry dog food at all?
Yeah, it's the dry biscuits that you see in the packs that you can get from a supermarket or a pet store sitting on a shelf. The problem with kibble, I mean, we could talk about kibble alone just for an hour, but the key problem with it is two things. One is that because there's no regulation on pet food, the quality of the ingredients can be very, very poor, and they can still call it meat. So we don't actually know when we see that there's beef in a commercial pet food that it's real beef that you would want your dog eating. That's the first one. The second one is that all of the ingredients are cooked at a really, really high heat. They're cooked twice at these high heats, which basically strips out all of the nutrients that dogs need in their diet. So if there was anything good from those ingredients, they're now gone. And then finally, with that process of doing all of the heat, the moisture is stripped away. And so what you'll notice is dogs that eat kibble are actually really thirsty, and they probably are drinking a lot more water than what you see from a dog that's eating whole foods. So quality of ingredients, the way it's cooked is taking away all the vitamins and minerals, and then the lack of moisture. And then when you see that really long list of ingredients on a kibble label, that's because they're adding in chemicals and preservatives and additives to try to add something back into the food.
So when it comes to kibble, so again, like you said, I'm sure we could spend an entire hour just on this. Yep. But again, the price difference is so varied, right? I mean, you have I can't remember what the name of the total like bottom of the barrel food is that you can get at like Walmart or anything like that. But then you go up, and I mean, one of the more well-known names is like Blue Buffalo, and then you've got even some fancier names that go up above that.
Like premium labels.
Yeah. So I mean, and I've talked to other dog food companies before, and that they're like resellers and they specialize in certain stuff, and they're like, oh, this is the good stuff. Like, is there varying levels, or is it kind of like all fast food? No matter like there's good fast food and there's bad fast food, but it's all fast food.
It's all fast food. So, it's fresh is always best. That's the bottom line. As Sarah mentioned, all kibble goes through this processing where it's killing the natural nutrients of ingredients. However, when you're trying to sift through this range of kibbles, some of the things that would make a kibble a poor quality kibble, for example, are words like byproducts or meal.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, these tend to be the waste products that are left after meat that's fit for human consumption is taken away. And
then meal just literally means mush.
Yeah. So, there are cases, there was actually a case in the US of a major pet food brand being recalled because the drug used to euthanize dogs was found in the food because they were actually using killed animals in their food. And so meal can literally mean anything. So that just obviously right away is a red flag. There are also certain synthetic preservatives that are included in lower quality, quote unquote, lower quality kibble. There's one that is commonly found in kibble that's actually used as a detergent or a softener for fabric as well. And another thing that a lot of people are really unaware of, it's a legal requirement, at least here in Canada, and I believe the same for the US, that you have to list your ingredients of order of weight. So generally, if you see a grain, or even something like corn, because corn has a protein content and it might be high on the list of ingredients, but dogs have a sensitivity to corn. It's used to skew the results of protein, even though it's not actually a healthy food for dogs. And these are, they call them filler ingredients. So when you see these grains high on a list of your dog's food, generally that's considered a red flag that it's a lower quality on the range of already low quality food.
And just to kind of jump in here, like as a pet professional in the industry that talks with clients all the time about food, a lot of these quote unquote like premium or low quality, it's like some of these brands that sell as premium brands, and like we don't need to go into names here, but it's like just turn your food bag over and read it. Like I just had a client come up to me the other day and they're extremely concerned because their puppy has a protein deficiency and is extremely underweight, and they're eating a vet recommended food. And I was like, and it sells at a premium rate. And I'm like, yeah, but have you turned it over? Because it's literally chicken nuggets. It's chicken byproduct meal, corn, and wheat. Those are the first three ingredients. It's chicken nuggets.
Well, I had someone I know here in Toronto say to me, oh, the food that, she was interested in what we're doing as a brand, a dog owner, and said, oh, well, the food I feed's a wet canned food, and said, oh, the food I feed my dog is really healthy. There's even kale in it. And I said, oh, I'd love to see the ingredient list. And, as I mentioned, that ingredients are listed in order of weight, right? So it was literally animal meal, corn, pea protein flour, all of these grains, and then at the end, kale. So like a little sprinkle of kale in there to say the
like a leaf. And then I think my favorite thing about canned food is that most people don't realize the number one ingredient is water. So it's actually somewhere around like 80% water is why it fluffs up in the can. Because it's just fluffed up wheat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What you'll generally find though, canned food versus dry, is that at least the benefit with any wet food is that you've got that water content. So from a moisture perspective, dogs are getting the water that they need.
Yes.
It's still not great because, again, the quality of ingredients in canned food, you've got all these preservatives and additives, but it's not making a dog dehydrated from the food itself. So if we're going to put one positive thing on it.
And then correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I heard this somewhere, or like I took a nutrition course and they said your dog needs 4 cups of water for every 1 cup of dry food. Is that a correct number? I think I remember that number from
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So that's how dehydrating it is.
Yeah. Dogs' bodies are 73% made of water. And so when, if we eat something that is dry, we feel instantly dehydrated. And it's the same for dogs. They can't live, no one can live without a good amount of water. And so when you've got something that's dehydrating you, it's a real issue because they need that for digestion and for processing of minerals and all of that good stuff. So it's a really important factor.
Okay, so we've kind of so kibble's off the table. We're going to push completely aside at this point. And we're talking about, so then it didn't sound like canned food was really that much better. So we'll just kind of skip over that. But my next experience was like, I've purchased the dehydrated food that you add the water back to, and that was more expensive and fancier marketing and stuff. So I felt like that was better. Am I so
that is higher quality than kibble. So dehydrated raw actually would be the next best thing to fresh food. However, you really can't replace the benefits of fresh whole ingredients, just like for humans.
Okay, so so what I'm trying to do,
the next best thing. Yeah.
So I have I have a soft spot for like people across all boards, and not everybody. It's this weird dynamic of, I think everybody needs to have a dog in their life. I think it's a positive relationship. I think it's somebody that we can always count on and depend on, and it gets us through the days, and it like focuses us back on some important things, right? Yeah. But with that said, there's a lot of people that can't afford to buy expensive kibble. But at the same time, we don't want to be telling them, like, you're just basically killing your dog. I mean, that's so like, how do we navigate this across all of the
there's the socioeconomic boundaries?
Yeah, that's definitely a major question. And actually, interestingly, so there was one study conducted on Scottish Terriers by Purdue University. And so they're, as a breed, really prone to bladder cancer. And just by adding dark leafy greens to their dog's kibble, it reduced the risk of bladder cancer by 90%. Wow. So even if I am a dog owner and I cannot afford to provide my dog with whole premium foods, just by adding in fresh foods to my dog's dry food, I can provide them with a significant impact on their health.
But it's going to be specific fresh foods. Like, we can't just take the dry food and then throw in a Big Mac and then call it good.
No. That's not fresh.
That would also be a
That's whole food. Yeah.
Okay. On that note, hold on. We're going to take a quick break.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
The storks are bringing me a baby brother. We can do this together.
All right, let's go. Storks know how to keep kids safe. Do you?
What? Oh my gosh, you don't know.
I know.
You don't. Oh man, you laugh when you're uncomfortable.
No. Making sure your child is in the right car seat is one of the steps to safer travel.
I will rock this.
You will rock this. To know for sure that your child is in the right car seat for their age and size, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. Cool. Very cool. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan.
Separated.
We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
Idea how to find each other.
The whole experience was fine.
Was the most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Message.
Some parents plan ahead. Some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Now more than ever, family matters, and Surratt Law Practice has your family in mind. Kimberly Surratt and her team have been helping maintain healthy families through their holistic approach to adoption and surrogacy, child custody, estate planning, and more for over 13 years. Your family law concerns are in caring hands with Surratt Law. Schedule your private consultation with a compassionate Surratt Law Practice team member today by calling 775-636-8200 or visiting lawyersforfamilies.com. Surratt Law, where family matters.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. You can make a difference by dropping off a hot meal and saying a quick hello. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell
someone being bullied online, you can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. But he's a part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. No time for tired. Nothing can disable this love. He needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Fenix Media. Listen live and explore more great shows at phoenixmedia.us.
All right, so we just ruled out no Big Macs in with
No
the
Big
food.
Macs.
No mixing that in. So, like, what kind of things? Like, what
muffins on occasion? But
what are some cost-effective things that we could put in with that bag of kibble if that's where we're starting?
Yeah, so actually a lot of our customers use our meals as a topper. So what we mean by that is you still feed the kibble, reduce some of the kibble, and then add some of our food on top so that the dogs are getting both the balance of ingredients they need and the vitamins and minerals from the fresh food. So that is definitely one option. Go to a fresh food provider. Again, check the quality of ingredients. Not all fresh food providers are equal, but use it as a nutritious topper. And so then you can really, by doing that, decide your own cost. Because you could put half a cup of food, you could put a cup of food, it's really up to you. And so you can balance out that extra cost. But like Marisa mentioned, green leafy vegetables are great. If your dog is fussy, blend it up and put it into the food. Orange vegetables have also shown, I think it was shown to minimize risk of illness by 60%.
Okay, wait, break down orange vegetables for our listeners.
Because I only know about carrots.
Exactly.
Like,
and
why
for
didn't we just say
Jason.
carrots?
And carrots are a cost-effective vegetable, right?
Very.
Yes.
Arguably, everyone can afford some carrots, right? And
yeah, you could put butternut squash in. We put some sweet potato in as well. It's still a carb, but it's a complex carb, so it's a healthier alternative for dogs.
Okay.
So yeah, you want to mix in some greens and some orange, and if you mix that in, it's generally more palatable for dogs to eat, and you'll probably find that they enjoy their kibble a bit more as well.
Another really nutritious ingredient, and I know it's a little more on the expensive side, but organ meat is also a great addition that you can add to your dog's diet.
Where do you get that? Where do you go buy organ meat?
Generally at the grocery store, they have them. I don't know if they do in the US, but you can usually find chicken liver or beef liver, chicken hearts, and these are good to mix into your dog's food as well.
And in my experience, because I mean, I've done some of this, it's not my favorite thing to do. But if you go to your local butcher and you just ask for some, like, nobody buys those parts. So like your local butcher just has these organ meats that no one's going to buy because no one's like, it's not traditional anymore in our meals. Like no one's making like blood pudding here in the States. It's not a thing. So typically they have like liver and, you know, some heart chunks left over and marrow bones. Sometimes you can find at your butcher.
CrossFitter, you're generally not eating the organ meat.
Yeah.
Okay, so this launches me into another question that I heard that I wouldn't have bought into, but I would be fascinated to just throw it out there. Like, dogs are not vegetarians, right?
No.
Okay.
Dogs need protein.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, it was just something like you see the craziest things, whether it's on Facebook or like these random blogs that are suggesting, and it's like, well, if I can live as a vegetarian, then my dogs can live as a vegetarian. And like,
the thing to know about proteins is that and the other thing is dogs need a variety of protein in their diet. So this is another big myth of the pet food industry that really kind of grinds our gears, is that we see a lot of companies advertising as a complete and balanced meal, when in actual fact, all the nutrients that you need are not bioavailable at one time, just like for humans. You know, I might have a salad one day, I might have some shrimp for dinner, I might have a steak, because without getting too much into the science of it, but different proteins have different amino acid profiles. And that's why, just like for humans, dogs need to have a variety of proteins in their diet. And we recommend unless the dog has food sensitivity or they're an extremely picky eater, that they actually cycle through our different recipes so they're getting those amino acid profiles. And you're not going to get those complete amino acid profiles in a vegetarian diet.
And again, would that work with the toppers that you were mentioning earlier? Like, so if you had your traditional kibble and then you were to mix in the different toppers on a daily basis, would that be kind of a good fit for what you guys are suggesting?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I want to also just talk about the flip, because we have lots of people asking, can I make my dog vegetarian? And we have also got lots of people who are raw feeders, which is a whole food and also good for dogs, but going way on the other end and only feeding protein. So I want to, right. And so they're missing all the micronutrients from fruits and vegetables. And we hear a lot of raw feeders say, well, you know, when they're in the wild and they're hunting, they're not eating fruits and vegetables. But that's not actually correct, because when they're in the wild and they're hunting and they eat, you know, they've eat, sorry to be a little gruesome, but, you know,
this is my favorite. This is like my favorite tidbit of dogs in the wild. So
dogs are in the wild. They've killed an animal and they're now eating the insides of an animal. But those animals are eating vegetation, and so the stomach contents that dogs are eating from the natural animal is also including those vegetations in the gut. And so that's how dogs were getting the vegetables that they needed in their diet back in the day. And so that's why it's still really critical that dogs, even if they're being fed raw, are having fruits and vegetables in their diet. They should not be eating one way or the other, all protein or all vegetables.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Like that. I mean, like,
how you doing, Jason?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm sitting here I'm like processing. I'm like, whoa. Well, my first question is like, how many of us actually think of, like, my pug wouldn't live in the wild? Like, what kind of excuse is that? Not in a million years would that happen.
Also true. But I feel like that's also an argument that some people like to use in favor of like a vegetarian or vegan diet for their dog, is that they're like, well, they're not like their wild ancestors. But I think in the same token, it's like, yes, and I'm not like a Neanderthal where I need to fast for 20 hours and then eat only protein, you know? So I think there's a balance to everything that we do. And the fascinating thing about dog nutrition is just that there's so much we don't know yet, you know, and that's lacking from our education.
Yeah, and in particular with veterinarian schools. We've spoken to a lot of animal nutritionists and holistic veterinarians, and it's really a specialized topic. They're not teaching nutrition at a standard vet school. It's like one course out of, you know, the entire program. And so there's still a lot of learning for the whole industry to do to really get up to speed with where we're at as humans. We really need to catch up for dogs. And so, you know, we provide actually our clients with consults with our animal nutritionists to really help help people understand the differences and answer some of the questions of what they're being told versus the reality of research as well.
So that would be like one of my next questions, because again, we're like vet recommended and vet approved. Like we're hearing all of these things, and even from our vets that may or may not be very well versed in this topic. Like, what are some things personally that we could watch for? Like, my dog may be feeling malnourished because of this. Is that the word? Like, I mean, like, is it just skin and coat and scratching and whatever that, like, how do we know?
I think you said something earlier, Jason. You were asking about, you said that generally people don't change their dog's food unless there is a health problem. And I think that was a really key point because, oftentimes we don't, and same for humans, we don't think of nutrition as preventative, but if God forbid we have a health problem, we look for, nutrition to cure all. And so just going back to, I mentioned my journey with feeding my dogs kibble. So when I adopted my 2 dogs in Hong Kong, one of them was a breeder dog at a puppy mill, and she had a ton of different health problems, including the fact that she was so overweight that she could barely walk. And so I went home I was really determined to heal her health, but I went home with the kibble that the vet recommended me. And it was really funny. So anyone who knows my dog, Kalinda, knows that she's food obsessed. Sarah can attest to this. She's taking our cheese off the table whenever we're having some wine and cheese. And
Kalinda may be my spirit animal.
And so if you know this dog who that much she loves her food, it was so funny. The first day I bring her home and I put the kibble in front of her, and she pushed the bowl away, knocked it over like a little rhino. And I thought, oh my gosh, this dog, won't eat the food. And then I Googled, okay, what are, human food that I can, what food, because I knew nothing, right, about whole foods. And I pureed some chicken and vegetables, and I gave it to her, and immediately she lapped it up. But even then, it was so deeply ingrained, like we go to our vets and we get their recommendation that it still didn't register that I should be feeding my dogs whole foods. And as I mentioned, so I actually spoke to 3 different vets who recommended a variety of premium brands of food, and they did nothing for her. So she's a miniature schnauzer. She was 11 kg, okay, which is huge, about 25 pounds. So if you can picture little miniature schnauzer, and these foods were doing nothing. And and then these 3 vets told me she needed a $5,000 knee surgery or she'd never be able to walk long term. Wow. And they said, we're in our experience, her prognosis really isn't good when she's at this level, and was really just getting kind of door after door after door closed in my face. And, Sarah and I, as mentioned, like we love health and fitness. And then finally, it started to click, like, wait a second, doctors don't know everything either in terms of nutrition. Mm-hmm. They're not nutritionists. And just, started researching the pet food industry, and then started finding out some of these shocking statistics that we mentioned. And then so when I brought my dogs back to Canada, I found a holistic veterinarian and who recommended that I cook for them. And it was just wild. So after 8 months of just complete frustration and kind of feeling of hopelessness, right, of trying to heal my dog, 2 months, she lost half her body weight, all her blood work was normal, and she never needed knee surgery. And she continues to age backwards. And this was almost 3 years ago now. And so to answer your question, I think that we need to reevaluate, my long-winded way of answering your question, the way we look at nutrition for dogs. We can't look at it as a cure. We need to try to be preventing conditions. And if you think, dogs, they're statistically are living half as long as they did in the 1970s. And wow. It's been correlated with the shift towards processed food. And so we just...
Okay, wait. Let me bring it. Wait.
Okay, Jasen, before you go down this road, we got to take a quick break. So let's hold your horses. We'll be right back.
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's humble and perfect. She likes everyone. She even likes her untidy roommate's weird guinea pig. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Allison, no. That's the exact opposite of what I was just saying about you. Why, Allison? Why? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
I'm Paul George of the Indiana Pacers. When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke. So I want you to learn to spot a stroke fast. F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. I'm Paul George. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Dear John, I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is serious, and I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to when you checked on me? I don't want to leave, but remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart and don't let it quit on you. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range today. For help keeping yours at a healthy range, text PRESSURE to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. Take 1.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard, so you don't need to sell all your belongings and live in a commune.
These dungarees belong to all of us now, Tom.
You don't need to get a second job as a stuntman.
We need a new stuntman!
You just need FeedThePig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at FeedThePig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Fenix Media. Listen live and explore more great shows at phoenixmedia.us.
I got caught up, but this one, sorry, and I didn't mean to cut you off mid-sentence, but this was like fascinating to me. Dogs were living twice as long in the 70s than they are today.
Yeah, there was a study conducted on golden retrievers, and their average lifespan was 17 or 18 years old, and now it's down to 8 or 9 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's really wild, and that's one of, there are multiple factors in terms of environment as well. However, one of the biggest shifts that we've seen since the 1970s has been this shift towards processed, convenient, packaged foods. And, we all love our dogs like our children, right? And we want them to live as long as possible. And so I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that dog owners make, is saying, you know what, my dog is fine. They're doing fine on this food. But there's a real difference. But, going back to comparison with a human, right? I could be fine for 10 years and have some sort of disease, slowly decimating my body without being, again, getting like Sarah getting into the gore here. And dogs, because they, are smaller, they do have a shorter lifespan than us, that nutrition is all the more important. And the other thing, too, that we need to consider as dog owners is, if going back to the Big Mac, if I go have a Big Mac, hey, that's a choice that I'm choosing to make for my body. I know it's not a healthy choice, but you know what? I'm really craving a Big Mac. Maybe I'll get one tomorrow. No, just joking. But your dog only has you to rely on for your nutrition. You are the only one that makes that choice for them. And so we really have a responsibility as dog owners to do the best we can from, a socioeconomic status for our dog's health.
And I think that's what was so cool about some of this stuff. And it's the trap that I've fallen in a bunch of times where, yes, I want my dogs to eat better, but if the only gauge that I really have is financially spending more money on whatever I don't truly understand, then it's meaningless. Like if I understand why I'm spending the money, where it's going, and that I know it's really making a difference, then all of a sudden it seems affordable a lot of times. But when it's just like, I haven't noticed any difference, and it's just one heavy bag for a different heavy bag, and this one costs 3 times as much as the other. So really getting into this simple idea of mixing some quality food in with even some kibble is all the difference.
Absolutely. And I would also, just from a financial perspective, Marisa said something, she said lots of interesting things, but one really interesting thing was about thinking about nutrition as preventative. The same is kind of true from a vet bill perspective. So I rescued a couple of years ago a senior dog. He's 10 years old. And I know that every time we go to the vet, it costs me at least $300. I walk away with something that he needs more tests or whatever else it might be. But I know that had he started his life eating better and more whole foods with his food, then our vet bills over a longer period of time would have been reduced. So if you kind of think about it's more of a holistic approach and it evens out over the lifespan of your dog. You spend the money a little more upfront on food. It will help because your dog will be healthier, should have less illnesses leading to vet visits. So it just kind of rebalances things in a different way. Yeah.
So another question that I guess,
and
okay,
I mean, realistically,
just hop in there,
Jasen,
like just do your thing.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. I will. I also, for those not watching, I did do a hair flip. That did happen.
Sweet.
I mean, I just would also like to point out, for our listeners who are maybe like listening to this podcast, we're in a pandemic right now. Maybe you did lose your job. Maybe like adding premium foods to your dog's diet feels impossible, but a bag of spinach is not super expensive. You know what I mean? It's a couple bucks. A bag of carrots is like $1.50, and you can literally throw them in the blender, and it's like wet food for your dogs. And it's cheaper, in volume, than buying a can of like really cheap wet food.
Yeah, trying to shame anyone and for their choice, their ability. We just want people to become more conscious consumers and really think about what's going into their dog's diet. And a big part of our company ethos is education. And so we have our own podcast and blogs, and we really try, because it's so overwhelming. And Sarah and I can, Sarah can talk about this as well, as a dog owner, to kind of sift through all the noise that's out there, because as you mentioned as well, Jasen, there's so much conflicting information out there. And so, we don't want to shame anyone. We just want to raise awareness and, encourage people to do the best they can, as you mentioned, with spinach or carrots.
Yeah, I think we get really passionate because we both had childhood dogs, and we know the trauma of losing a dog, and now we have our own babies, and the thought of them not being with us really pains us. And so we know we're not alone on that. So we really want to help dog owners to have the information and have solutions that is affordable for them to help give their dogs a little extra life as well.
Well, it sounds like it could be significant. I mean, just adding in a couple of things could add years, possibly.
Yep.
So, so my question that I was going to hop in there with before I got the hair flip thrown at me was...
Can't compete with a hair flip.
No.
How do we know how much to feed our dogs, right? Because we have some dogs that are very... food motivated and would eat an entire bag of food. And I've had other dogs that they'll eat when they're hungry and they don't overeat, and they just kind of do so how do you make those decisions? Because again, there's just so much endless information that none of it seems reliable.
So a big thing to consider with that is the activity level of your dog. So if you have a dog that is exercising 2 hours a day versus a dog that's just going out for peas, which hopefully that's not what you do with your dog. Hopefully your dog's getting a lot of exercise, but their energy requirements are going to vary significantly. On average, small dogs need on average roughly 32 calories per pound of body weight, and medium dogs need about 24 calories per pound of body weight. And if you have a puppy, they need about 20% more than that.
Yeah, Juniper eats a lot. I have a 10-year-old dog who has made his appearances here, Hunter, and then I have a 4-month-old puppy who devours about 20% more than Hunter and is very, very lean. But she's growing like a little weed. So
yeah, it's so important for puppies because that's just like babies, right? Babies need milk for the first few months and then they graduate to fruits and other things. And so it's really important at that life stage that they're getting the nutrients to help their bones grow and their muscles and for them to start, developing in the way that they really need to develop.
Well, sadly, ladies, we have no more time left.
Oh,
I can't believe
I had so many more questions.
I literally am floored by how quickly this conversation went. I do have to obviously reserve a teeny tiny bit of time for Jasen to do his thing. We close our show in a very special way if you haven't had a chance to listen. So Jasen.
I know what's
Sarah's
coming.
like, yep.
Sarah's like, oh, I've listened. Whenever you're ready.
Are you ready? Hopefully this one works out for today. What is the, okay, ready? What do dogs?
Are you ready?
Yeah, no, I'm ready. I'm on it. I'm just getting to my zone. What do dogs eat for breakfast?
What?
Poached eggs.
That was one of your better ones, Jasen.
Did you like that one?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Also, I should add eggs are a great protein for your dog.
See, there we go.
Actually. Yes. Make sure you cook the eggs and they're really great.
Cook it. Toss that in there.
Can you guys please come back? I wanted to sit and talk about like puppy nutrition. Like there's so many things that I would love to do this again with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we loved having you. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having us on.
Yes, this was so much fun. I can't wait to hang out with you some more and definitely come to Canada and smuggle back some of your foods.
I'll be coming to see you in LA for those good tacos.
Can't wait. It's going to be awesome. All right. Thanks
so
ladies.
much,
Have
guys.
a great rest of your day.
Have a good one.
Bye.
So I want to take a quick sec to thank everybody, especially Sarah and Marisa from Puppy Gang Fresh Foods. That was an absolute blast getting to hang out with you guys.
Too much fun.
So much fun. As always, anything that we talked about today as far as products and websites and other things that we could link to will be in the show notes on the website. Make sure that you are subscribed to the podcast and leave us a review over at iTunes. iTunes is the place that you can leave the review. Make sure to check out Puppy Gang Fresh Foods on Instagram, as well as Dog Up in This Bitch and Forever USA. I am Jasen Arias, and this is Sylvia.
I am Sylvia.
Yeah. Any parting comments for the day, Miss Sylvia?
I would just say, remember to listen to their podcast as well, because I will be now listening to all the dog nutritional things, and we love you. And I think we're getting close probably to our giveaway numbers. So that'll be very exciting.
Yes.
On that Dog Dad mug so that we can do another one. All right. That's all.
All right. I'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.
We will talk to you guys later.
We will.
Bye. Okay, so I have a confession, Miss Sylvia. On this week's podcast, we're going to add a little bit of an extra on here. I repeated a Dog Dad joke.
I know, Jasen. I heard it happen too, and it was such a train wreck that I didn't know how to interrupt.
But I couldn't, I feel obligated that we need to fix this for our guests. And
you do need to fix it for our listeners.
Yeah. So I searched high and low, and I found an absolutely exceptional fill-in for this.
A banger.
Yeah. So it's a 1.5 for one. Like you get the other one just.
Just get to it.
Okay, are you ready? All right. Mm-hmm. What did the dog say when he sat on sandpaper? That was rough.
I don't know why I laugh.
Because it's so funny.
I know they're terrible, but I think it's the pleasure that you get from them.
So good.
Hashtag Dog Dad.
I promise I am going to spend some time before we record the next show.
Oh my goodness.
I'm going to make a list, and I promise not to repeat anymore. That is my fault.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.